My parents put everything in my brother's name, except the debt. Hi, my name is Sarah. I'm 32 years old. 3 weeks ago, my parents called me asking for money. I said no. They haven't spoken to me since. And honestly, I've never been happier. But let me tell you how I got here. Because this story starts long before that phone call. I need to take you back to understand everything. I grew up in Connecticut. My dad, Robert, owned a real estate company. My mom, Linda, stayed home. We looked like the perfect family from the outside. Big house. Nice cars. Everything seemed fine. But inside that house, I was invisible. My older brother Tyler was the golden child. Everything revolved around him. Always. When Tyler wanted piano lessons, my parents bought a grand piano. When I asked for guitar lessons, Mom said we couldn't afford it. When Tyler wanted to go to private school, they paid $30,000 a year without thinking twice. When I asked about the same school, Dad said public school would be better for me, that it would build character. I was 10 years old when I realized I was different. Not special, just different. Not the priority, not the favorite, just there. Tyler got everything. New clothes, new phone every year, a car when he turned 16. I got hand-me-downs and lectures about responsibility. When Tyler's grades were bad, they hired tutors. When my grades were perfect, they barely noticed. I brought home straight A's and Dad would just nod. Tyler brought home a C, and they celebrated like he won the lottery. I learned to stop expecting anything. I learned to be invisible. High school was hard. I worked at a grocery store after school. I saved every dollar. Tyler got an allowance of $200 a month just for existing. I got nothing. When I asked why, Mom said I was learning independence, like it was a gift. Tyler went to Yale. My parents paid everything. Tuition, room, board, spending money. He came home every holiday with designer clothes and stories about trips to Europe with his friends. He never worked a day in his life. I went to community college. I worked 3 jobs to pay for it. Waitressing, cleaning houses, babysitting. I was exhausted all the time. I studied late at night after my shifts. My hands were rough from scrubbing floors. I fell asleep in class sometimes because I was so tired. Mom would see me come home at midnight and say, "You're so independent, Sarah. We're so proud of you." Proud. That word made me want to scream. They weren't proud. They just didn't care enough to help. I graduated with honors. I got a degree in accounting. I was good with numbers. Really good. I found patterns other people missed. I got a job at a small firm in Boston. The pay wasn't great, but I was finally on my own. Tyler graduated from Yale, and Dad gave him a job at his real estate company. Starting salary? $80,000. Tyler had no experience. No business degree. Nothing. Just Dad's last name. I applied to work at Dad's company too. I thought maybe now he'd see me, see what I could do. Dad didn't even interview me. It wouldn't be appropriate, he said. People might think I'm playing favorites. I stared at him. Tyler was literally sitting in the office next door, making $80,000 doing nothing. But I didn't fight. I never fought. I just accepted it, like I always did. I worked hard at my firm. I moved up. I became senior accountant, then manager. I was good at my job. I saved companies money. I found tax breaks nobody else saw. I built a reputation. Meanwhile, Tyler was failing. He made bad deals. He overpaid for properties. He lost Dad money. But Dad just kept giving him chances. Kept bailing him out. Kept pretending Tyler was this amazing businessman. Then came the day that changed everything. I was 28. Dad called me on a Saturday morning. "Sarah, I need you to come to the house. It's important." I drove 2 hours from Boston back to Connecticut. My stomach was in knots the whole way. Family meetings never meant good things for me. I walked into Dad's home office. Mom and Tyler were already there. Tyler was smirking. That stupid smirk he always had. "Sit down, Sarah," Dad said. I sat. My hands were shaking. Dad pulled out a thick folder. "Your mother and I are getting older. We need to start estate planning. We wanted to tell you our decisions face to face. My heart started racing. Maybe this was it. Maybe they were finally going to treat me fairly. Dad, open the folder. We're transferring the company to Tyler. We're also putting the house in his name. The vacation property in Maine. The investment accounts. All of it. The room spun. All of it? To Tyler? Tyler's been running the company with me for years, Dad said. He understands the business. It makes sense to keep everything together. What about me? My voice cracked. Mom reached over and patted my hand like I was a child. Sweetie, you have your own career. You're doing so well on your own. Tyler needs the support. He needs the structure. I looked at Tyler. He wasn't even pretending to be humble. He was enjoying this. How much are we talking about? I asked quietly. Dad hesitated. The company is valued at about $12 million. The properties are worth another $8 million. The investments are around $5 million. $25 million. All to Tyler. My brother who never worked for anything in his life. What do I get? I whispered. Mom smiled. We'll make sure you get grandmother's jewelry. And we'll give you a small cash gift. Maybe $50,000. $50,000. Out of $25 million. I stood up. My legs felt like jelly. You're giving him $25 million and I get jewelry? Don't be dramatic, Sarah, Dad said sharply. You're doing fine. You don't need our help. Tyler does. I walked out. I didn't cry until I got to my car. Then I sobbed the whole drive back to Boston. I couldn't breathe. I felt like I was drowning. That night, I called my best friend Rachel. She was a lawyer. Sarah, that's horrible, she said after I told her everything. But legally, they can give their money to whoever they want. I know, I whispered. But, Rachel said slowly, something feels off about this. Parents who give everything to one child and nothing to another are usually hiding something. Have you ever looked at their finances?
No.
Why would I? Because in my experience, this kind of extreme favoritism usually means they're protecting someone or covering something up. Her words stayed with me. I started thinking. I remembered years ago helping Dad with some tax documents. He'd given me passwords to his business accounts. He'd never changed them. Dad wasn't good with technology. I logged in late one night. My hands were shaking as I typed. What I found made my blood freeze. Tyler had been stealing from a company.
For years.
Over $2 million. He'd created fake vendor accounts. He'd inflated expenses. He'd bought himself cars and watches and trips and labeled them as business expenses. And Dad knew. There were emails. Dad had caught him 3 years ago. But instead of firing him or reporting him, Dad had covered it up. He'd paid the money back from his personal accounts. He'd hidden the losses. But that wasn't the worst part. Tyler had massive personal debt. Credit cards maxed out. Personal loans. Gambling debts. He owed almost $500,000. Some of those debts were to people you don't want to owe money to. And Dad had been paying those too. Quietly. Secretly. That's when I understood. They weren't giving everything to Tyler because they loved him more. They were giving everything to Tyler because he was a disaster. Because he was drowning. Because if they didn't save him, he'd destroy himself. And they were perfectly fine letting me struggle while they protected him. I spent weeks gathering evidence. Screenshots. Downloaded files. Bank statements. Emails. Everything. Then I made a decision. I called a lawyer. Not Rachel. Someone who specialized in financial fraud and estate law. His name was David Chun. He listened to everything. He looked at all my evidence. This is fraud, he said. Your brother committed embezzlement. Your father covered it up. That's conspiracy. What can I do? I asked. Legally, you could report this to the authorities. Your brother would face criminal charges. Your father might too. My stomach twisted. I don't want to send them to prison. David nodded. Then we use this as leverage. We force them to split the estate fairly. Or we expose everything. Can we do that? Absolutely. And there's more. If your parents are transferring assets to your brother to shield them from his creditors, that's fraudulent conveyance. Those transfers can be reversed. Hope flickered in my chest for the first time in weeks. There's also another issue, David continued. You said your father is transferring everything to your brother's name? Yes. Including the debt? I froze. What debt? David pulled up something on his computer. Your father's company has significant debt. Bank loans. Lines of credit. About $4 million. I didn't know that. If your father transfers the company to your brother inherits that debt. And based on what you've told me, your brother can't handle that kind of responsibility. The pieces started clicking together in my mind. So they're giving him the assets but also the debt, I said slowly.
Exactly.
And when your brother inevitably fails, those creditors will come after him. He'll lose everything. The company will collapse. And your parents will be protected because they transferred everything out of their names. But Tyler doesn't know about the debt. David smiled. Exactly. I went home that night and thought about everything. For the first time in my life, I had power. Real power. I didn't tell my parents what I knew. Not yet. Instead, I watched. I waited. Over the next 3 months, Dad transferred everything into Tyler's name. The company, the properties, the accounts, all of it. Tyler was thrilled. He threw a party. He bought a new Porsche. He bragged to everyone about being a multimillionaire now. He had no idea what was coming. Then the calls started. Creditors calling Tyler. Banks calling about loan payments. The company accountant calling about cash flow problems. Tyler panicked. He called Dad. What's happening? I heard him yell through the phone. I was visiting for Mom's birthday. Why are all these people calling me about money we owe? Dad's face went pale. You need to handle it, son. It's your company now. You didn't tell me about any debt. It's normal business debt. Every company has it. For $1 million is normal? Mom looked shocked. She didn't know either. Tyler was spiraling. Within weeks, he realized he was drowning. The company was losing money. The debt payments were massive. His creditors from his gambling debts were still calling. Everything was falling apart. He called me one night.
Crying.
Sarah, I need help. I need money. Can you loan me some money? I almost laughed. How much? $50,000. Just to get through this month. The same amount they were going to give me as my inheritance. No, I said calmly. Please, Sarah. I'm your brother. Family helps family. Those words. The same words Mom always used. Where's Dad? I asked. Why isn't he helping you? He says he can't. He says he gave me everything already. He says I need to figure it out. Then figure it out, I said. And I hung up. A month later, Tyler had to declare bankruptcy. The company collapsed. The bank foreclosed on the properties. Everything was gone. Tyler moved back in with my parents. Into their small house. Not the big one. They'd sold that years ago to stay afloat. Then I made my move. I scheduled a meeting with all of them. Dad, Mom, and Tyler. At a lawyer's office. They showed up confused. David Chun was there. So was another lawyer. And a forensic accountant. I put the evidence on the table. Every email. Every bank statement. Every transfer showing Tyler's embezzlement and Dad's cover-up. What is this? Dad's face went white. This is proof that Tyler stole $2 million from your company, I said calmly. And proof that you helped him hide it. Tyler looked like he might throw up. This is also proof that you transferred assets to Tyler knowing he had massive debt, which is fraudulent conveyance, I continued. And evidence of all the gambling debts you paid for him. Mom was crying. Why are you doing this? I looked at her. Really looked at her. Because for 32 years, you treated me like I didn't matter. You gave Tyler everything and gave me nothing. You made me struggle while you protected him. You taught me that love was conditional. That I had to earn everything while he got everything for free. We were trying to protect him, Dad said weakly. From what? From consequences? From reality? You enabled him to destroy himself. And you sacrificed me to do it. What do you want? Tyler asked, his voice shaking. I smiled. I want what's fair. I want half of what's left. And I want you all to know that I'm done. I'm done being invisible. I'm done being the backup plan. I'm done. David slid papers across the table. These are settlement agreements. Sarah will not report the embezzlement or fraud to authorities if you agree to split the remaining assets 50-50. You'll also agree to never contact Sarah again unless she initiates contact. We don't have anything left, Dad said. Tyler lost it all. You have life insurance policies, I said. You have retirement accounts. You have assets you hid. I know about all of it. Sign the papers, or I go to the police. They signed. All three of them. I walked out of that office with documentation guaranteeing me over $2 million from their remaining assets. I walked out free. That was a year ago. Last week, I bought a house in California. Far away from Connecticut. Far away from them. Tyler tried to call me once. I blocked him. Dad sent an email apologizing. I deleted it. Mom sent a card. I threw it away. I don't hate them anymore. I don't feel anything for them. They're strangers to me now. I built my own life. I have friends who value me. I have a career I'm proud of. I have peace. And them? Tyler still lives with my parents. He works at a retail store. Dad's company is gone.
They live in a small apartment now. Quiet. Small.
Struggling. Everything they tried to protect fell apart anyway. Because you can't build something real on lies and favoritism. Sometimes people ask me if I feel guilty. If I regret what I did. I don't. They spent 32 years choosing Tyler over me. I finally chose myself. And that's not revenge. That's justice.